Hello, I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our topics today connect with grades. So, first, I'm going to address the article about grades meaning wise before entering the article about weighting grades and how educational entities are approaching grading, approaching assessing. And why does any of that even mean anything to anyone entering, exiting, in connection within, externally, of educational parameters? Though connecting beyond educational parameters, I find what the article presents uniquely is how different entities perceive grading and why any entity perceives grading differently than another is varying. Considering grades are only a part of a spectrum of acceptance, of learning, though arguably of learning, more so than in connection with access, acceptance through social parameters, arguably connecting economically. I mention the parameters of grading so considering individuals that partake of extracurricular activities that have ability that grading criteria is not set for, that assists with access and acceptance to a different degree of education, to a different area of life. When one is assessing why an individual is to go to a particular school, I think one must assess why an individual believes in schooling for an individual. Why does one believe in schooling for oneself? What does one believe one may be able to achieve with particular access and or acceptance? I find when engaging with an awareness of why one wants to enroll, why one wants to go through academic parameters, one may find more questions and or more answers. And I feel as though doing so is so important earlier on. Why might any seek to grow through academic parameters if one is not entirely sure of what one will be able to do with the academic parameters, credentialing through academic parameters? I find individuals may be aware of how to proceed with a why, even considering financial situations, being a good student may prove valuable for one. Applying what one earns to credential at no or less of a cost to access what may be what one wants for whatever reason, considering a loci, considering a locus aside from loci, depending on how these physical parameters situate. Why might an individual argue for doing well when one may do just as well in life with grades that may not be of a certain number, of a certain range? Grading is in connection with parameters of learning. And I feel as though individuals aware of why one is enrolling will greatly benefit with an understanding of one's purpose through educational parameters. I do not feel as though an educational parameter is responsible for what an individual is to be responsible for, though I think an educational environment may assist an individual with being responsible, though I feel as though many areas in connection with an educational atmosphere and an external atmosphere of which an individual grows through need contact, good communication, so as to better navigate purposefully one's routing through educational parameters. So when one is experiencing a grading situation, one may understand what earning a grading situation may involve. Consider how an individual may actually have wonderful life habits, may thrive outside of academic parameters, though may find challenges through an academic parameter for varying reasons, which may affect what one results with grading. Though, in context outside of an academic parameter, one thrives well in ways beneficial long term. I always feel grades may show one area, though I acknowledge that grades are not telling the full story of an individual. Grades will never tell the full story of an individual. Feedback from a teacher of classroom presence may only tell a partial instance, though may never fully tell the full story of an individual. So how an individual is growing is usually most clear to all the individuals observing the individual, as well as the individual's perspectives, all in combination to a mysterious twisting of which may come to a fullness, a wholeness, if all of these perspectives come through together in a full story. What a perfect imagining. Though most individuals are experiencing through aspects, through parts, through differences of being, through time and space. So when an individual is assessing grading, one must assess clearly with an awareness that grading is not going to ever be the full picture, which is going to bring us into our next article, which is to discuss about weighting grades, weighting classes. When one is attempting to protect a grade, when one is seeking to learn, grading is of a different competition. Grading is of a different realm of gaming, if one will, where grading may get an individual to a particular level of access, to a particular level of acceptance. Though grading alone may be of use to a few, or one may need more than grading to reach a particular level of access, to reach a particular level of acceptance. Considering parameters of higher education, when individuals are seeking to grow through academic parameters, engaging with higher education, when assessing what an admissions office and or otherwise in connection with the accepting, receiving, judging parameters of higher education in connection with individuals that are seeking to join, be a part, learn, grow with, I find one must attend to the broadness of what an environment may entail. One may find, regardless of grading, individuals achieve different levels of success depending on what an individual is proving to be capable of, what an individual is choosing to thrive with. One may find great benefit in doing well through school, applying one's earnings, grade-wise, learnings, even if apart from grade-wise, successfully. One may reach different levels of acceptance. One may reach different levels of access. So grading may differ for each individual. What results from one's life results from one's being, which brings to the individual reality fully. When one does not receive grades, when one experiences grading, if at all, external from an educational atmosphere. One is to be fully engaging with a reality that may prove differently than academic parameters. Hence the consideration of how different educational parameters may assess beyond grading, which may prove valuable. Even considering testing, particular fields have particular types of tests to engage if one may approach the acceptance processing, the accessing portals, because of how niche a field may be. Though doing so may be of acceptance, of accessing to a degree that may prove valuable to an extent, though may not fully be representative of what one is capable of. So, grading is a part of a system which is going through developments, receiving different assessments, so as to further engage what is one doing with oneself, which one will appreciate growing with, thriving with in the future. Especially if considering parameters beyond academia. How might skills, how might approaches of learning be beneficial through the parameters of growth of which one is experiencing? Whether a grade receives a weight, whether a grade is of an assessment process, so may not seem as a traditional grade, whether one attains a particular grade or a different grade, which may not be of a popular acceptance, of a popular accessing route, one may understand one is capable, so long as one may apply oneself well, whole-roundingly, well-roundingly, through parameters of thriving. Consider there are individuals that acknowledge a rule of passing and being good enough to attain a different level of access, to attain a different level of acceptance, because beyond the realm of grading, these individuals are extremely aware and proving that success is a guarantee. I mention so because the article does acknowledge a number in connection with graduation, as well as a mentioning of how a class or course may not weight as much as another, though may prove extremely valuable. Individuals may thrive differently. Now, assessing one's support network is extremely important. One's support network may need to be extremely aware of the ever-progressing interdependent reality so as to better establish awareness that one may be passing, which may be a good enough situation for the particular individual, especially considering what the individual is capable of doing otherwise with one's life, aside from anything in connection with grading. Doing so allows for a relieving of tension which may come from grading. Doing so allows for a different awareness of growing with, assessing the whole individual. Because once the grading is done, an individual is engaging with the world that may not be engaging with grading. So, what is of the life beyond that point of grading is what I find most important to assess, most important to grow with, especially considering what many individuals that have many accomplishments through school may note, even respecting success through academia, about life. If not approaching the whole person, then one must be extremely cautious with how one is assessing an individual, especially with grading. All right, let's get into some origami. Today's origami is an origami dinosaur. So we'll be using a square and fold it in half. Next, we're going to fold in and we'll fold in again. So you'll see I have a little bit of a fold inside here, and that's all right. First, we're going to fold again. Just going to fold it in again. If you're familiar with the airplane, it's kind of like going toward the airplane. Open this all up because we're going to do some cross folding. We're mainly doing this fold for guiding lines. So first we're going to fold, you see, this portion over here. So the way I find helps me is noting the first line from the center is where we're going to fold over the other side. Then we're going to fold it back over to the opposite fold. So as you can see, it's like a perfect fold here. We want to fold it here, so we have it here. Next, we're going to fold it, just fold it down the middle here to bring us to a grounding. So we'll fold it down the middle here. Okay. Then we're going to fold it over. Then it's just like layering the fold. We're going to fold it over. We're going to all connecting to the middle now. Then we're going to fold it over. And then we fold it in. And you should have this portion like so. Now mine is a little bit over the top part, but that's all right. See this? So you're gonna have this. Next, all we're gonna do, so as you can see, we're here. All right, so next, all we're gonna do now is we're gonna fold it the same way, the other way. So you can bring it all the way over. Since you already have your folds, should be a little bit clearer to do. So you see you have your fold there, and you'll fold it right there, okay? Then you'll fold it back. Okay. Let's just fold it here. Let's fold this over here. Okay. Fold it back. Then we're gonna fold it here. Fold it here. So we brought everything over. Fold it here, we fold it back. We fold this here, and we fold this back. And then we have to have this fold over. So that means that we're basically supposed to have this folding. And I did a little bit backwards, but this fold is supposed to end up here. So I'm gonna reverse fold it to discover it. So I folded this one in, then I'll just fold this one out. And then I'm just gonna fold this one in, voila. So after doing a reverse fold, I actually have what we need, okay? The next part is we're gonna fold in these little corners here. We'll just fold it up here. Okay, so you see, it comes up here, and then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna open it out. And you see this line where we just make this fold up here? We're actually gonna fold up completely here, at that line. And from here, we're just gonna come up here. We're gonna actually fold it down. So we're gonna bring it in, voila. Okay, there you go. Just gonna fold it in. When I say fold it in here, you'll see that once you get that fold, you can open it up. So you can open it here. See that? It just opens up and you fold it in. Next, we're gonna do the same with the bottom completely. So we're gonna fold in this way this time. You see that one side is up here, and do the same thing, fold it up. All right. Then we're gonna open it. See it open here, we're gonna fold it up. So as you can see, fold it up at the top part, and fold it up here. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to basically do a double fold. I just want you to see this part. When we fold this down real quick, there's a part here where we're gonna do twice. So we're gonna actually cross fold. So basically like put a diagonal in here and we're gonna cross fold them. Okay, so they're cross folding here. See that? Just put a little diagonal in, cross fold it. But we're gonna do the same thing over on this one. So we're gonna bring this up. You can see we're making this, stretching it out here. See that? Just putting my hand in here. I'm just making this diamond, like a half diamond. Okay. Then after you get this little part here, see this little part here, then we're just gonna cross fold them again. And that's it. You just cross fold them. Okay. Now, after you cross fold them, you fold this entire piece in half. All right. Now, when you fold this entire piece in half, the next step is we're gonna go for this long edge here. Okay, we're gonna take this long edge. We're gonna fold it up. Take this long edge. You fold it up. Very nice. Fold it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we just bring it out. Now we're gonna open up this just a little bit. If you're familiar with these reverse folds, you can just get right into the reverse fold. Once you put the reverse fold in, you'll notice the body has a different pop. So once you put that pop in, boop, there you are. You put that pop in, and then we can get on to making the head. The head is familiar to most animals, most designs, if you're familiar with origami. So you take the head, you'll just bend it in a little bit. See that there's a bend there? Now for this one though, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually bring the ears down. So I'm making this dinosaur, so we're gonna bring the ears down on both sides. Very different formation. And we're gonna actually take this center part, we're gonna just tuck it in. You can tuck it in, it's fine. Usually you can bend it at an angle if you don't want to go through this route. And you can pretty much form your own face if you like. Okay, so yeah, again, tuck it in, and voila, here we have a dinosaur. The more even your folding of the legs are, the more of a balance you'll notice. There we go, boom boom. All right, so I champion reading physical books. Reading a physical book has so many health benefits, and when one reads a physical book, the brain physically changes. So the science is in connection with spatial development. Science around longer than everyone alive today. The book I'm going to be discussing today is Creativity Inc., which stands out to me initially because of not being aware of how different Pixar and Disney are. I come to the realization when learning from Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson and Dr. Ed Catmull, co-founder of Pixar and president of Walt Disney Animation Studios, of the family of creatives of the particular time, is really, really engaging with what is happening within a creative community like Pixar. What are some of the growth periods of Pixar? What is the culture of Pixar? Dr. Ed Catmull, again, likely of many more roles than I note, is very, very clear about the culture of a company, how important the culture of a company is, how one may contribute to a culture, may not even be what a culture at a company is currently is ready for, though may need. How Pixar engages with parameters to navigate. How might individuals of a company's culture thrive in a way that helps the company thrive, yes, though helps the culture of the company thrive. What is culture? Is a question that Dr. Ed Catmull is engaging thoroughly through the journeys of Pixar and competition, through the journeys of Pixar from the beginning to more modern understanding. Looking at how Pixar still has a lot of room to grow with and what parameters Pixar takes, though of one individual assessing progress through and somewhat beyond tenure. The reality is that engaging with what is culture, especially if a culture becomes too static around what may be familiar with progress, though not to dismiss the familiarity as not to further assist with progress, though may not be embracing what else may be possible in good ways, in ways that allow the company to be more flexible, allow the culture to be more aware. How culture of a company seeking progress is to engage with how to make culture thrive, especially considering when culture thrives well, mindfully assessing what the company is about. Everyone may consider how a story from a Disney or a Pixar may prove very differently as a child and as an adult. So how might these elements that people are able to create in so many unique ways be implementable to lasting effect, if one will? Which, arguably, lasting effect is a way to comprehend how one may create what may be satisfying. I really like the book. I think the book is really offering a lot for one to assess, especially considering a leadership position, especially considering challenges that may arise within particular instances, even considering legacy roles, individuals of legacy, respecting the author's intent, how culture necessitates needs catering. And how culture necessitates needs good catering. Flexibility of mind. As well as parameters that allow for bolstering what may prove efficaciously well, without bias. Thanks for joining another episode of I Don't Know. We can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.